Hello.
Let's get this train wreck started. Hey everybody!
Boy.
This is different, isn't it? It's weird. We got our hearts up there, and
Our table was stolen.
it's still over there. He's lying to you.
God, spoiled the illusion.
We decided to change to a simpler background, but it also became really casual because we're on
Super
the couch.
cash.
So just doing it.
Cash. Oh god.
Awesome.
I just
Just do
myself.
cash. We're gonna do
Sorry.
a super casual, just laid back review of X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, the most casual movie of 2016.
So, if you don't know how these work, we're going to start with some general thoughts about the movie, some spoiler-free thoughts as much as we can, and then we're going to say fuck that and go into spoilers when we do our pros and our cons for the movie, and then at the end, we're going to give our final thoughts and a rating out of 10.
We may or may not warn you about the spoilers, just like...
Yeah, we might forget. We might just go into
We're just like, mid-sentence, just like, everyone dies.
We might just, slip up and be like, oh no, Quicksilver is dead now, but like that
Whoa!
would be... No, that was Age of Ultron, that was a different movie. See, it's confusing
Whoa!
because the characters are the same.
Another spoiler for a year and a half old. Okay, anyways, moving on.
I think we also reviewed Age of Ultron, I think, so you can go check out that video. Plugs.
I wasn't in it.
Plugs. You weren't in it, but like we did it.
So it doesn't matter.
Well, alright. Then don't go see it, because Dan wasn't in it. Fine. Alright, Dan, thoughts of the movie. What'd you think?
It was a film that started, had a nice middle, and ended. Alright, review over. We did it. 10 out of 10. We did it. Why do you keep doing this?
It's so much easier to get up and walk away.
You're right. You don't have to like push. Oh my goodness! We found the perfect like storm off. This is it. This is our thing.
So,
We
from now on, every video, this.
we have a nice table to flip. We can storm off at any time. This is the.
We're gonna somehow fit like 12 people on this couch. We have like a 12-person review.
Don't make people sit on my lap.
Why, man?
Let's not. Okay. Anyways, no. X-Men Apocalypse. This is I think a really fun movie. I'm not going to go out and say this was a fantastic movie. I get the flaws. I understand it's not perfect by any means, but this was fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. I laughed. There were some serious tense moments. I wasn't entirely sure. Like, were they going to kill off this kid? Were they going to do that? What were they really going to do with everything? They explained a lot of things. They introduced a lot of characters, and it felt natural. I think I was so worried with this movie that they were just going to do too much. They had like 17,000 characters coming in, and they had this huge villain. And even at 2.5 hours, I felt like, oh god, it's just going to be crammed. That other movie we compared it to.
Which one was that?
The Fernando versus. I lost it. I had a joke there, but.
Oh man.
So I'm not a comedian. I'm just a writer. Anyways, but it was a solid movie. It did everything that I wanted it to do. It set up a few things. It left a few things open. It evolved the franchise. It felt like they were moving forward. It felt like they set up, and most importantly, it felt like they were setting up the X-Men. This wasn't just like a bunch of people with superpowers, got together, did stuff, whatever. This really felt like it was pushing forward the X-Men as a group. This is like the foundation of the actual team being a team again, which they haven't really done since Days of Future Past. Well, even before that, like Days of Future Past, they had a team of the future.
Class.
But First Class was the last time they really had a team. But yeah,
This is dorky yellow outfit.
I like them. I mean, they were just like
They weren't as bad as they could
They were
be.
just like the First Class comic book, which was
Right.
nice.
They
It was
weren't-
a great nod. That's beside.
They weren't, spandex. They were just kind of like tight leather.
Yeah. I don't think they're really even leather. But
Well,
that's not the point. That's a different
whatever,
movie.
Whatever they were.
Anyways,
I don't know
no.
what they are.
So this really felt like an X-Men movie. I know that they did and have been doing a lot of changes to some of the characters from the comic books. In that they're kind of focusing a bit more on a very small aspect of the character and really blowing it out of proportion. Most notably Mystique. She's pretty much a good guy at this point. Though that might change. That she's still very much a anti-hero leaning. She just has enough of a heart to be called a hero enough.
Yeah.
She does the right things, which I like, honestly. I mean, Mystique to me was always, she was never pure evil, so I kind of like that they are kind of taking a different take on this. I know that there's probably some diehard fans that have complained a lot about Mystique being basically one of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. Like, but they did a good job.
Well, I won't say that. Never mind. That'll come later.
Are we?
I was about to do a spoiler, but never mind.
Whew, see what I mean? He just
This is what I'm talking about. You're almost there.
Plows through him.
But yeah, I
Anyways.
mean, I understand why like some comic book people would be upset with the changes to Mystique, but I don't care.
Yeah, well, in that case,
She's a cool character. Fuck all of you.
he just doesn't care at all.
No, like
She's
she's
really
really.
that comic book people. He hates you.
It's not that I hate you. It's just that.
Oh wow!
It's just that I hate your arguments.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of I've heard nitpicking on this.
Yeah.
Like as we said before, like Apocalypse's height. He's pretty much. I mean, he's a big guy, and the fact that he's kind of imposing, he looks kind of bulky. His armor really helps make him look large, but he's not. I mean, he's nowhere. He's not even Drax size from Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's like
It's just
10 foot taller than all four of the
Yeah.
horsemen.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which honestly, I don't care.
Wait, no, it's
That's one of those things that's so minor and nitpicky.
that is
it's
such
like,
a minor detail, and yeah,
Who cares?
I've gotten really tired of nitpicks just
Yeah.
overall. Like I get it, but I guess perhaps you just like needs to be understanding that the idea that this is an interpretation of the X-Men movie. And
Right.
I can understand that people like wanted to see the comic books in a motion picture format, and I get that, but also I've heard the argument a lot of times, especially Mihal has brought up the argument a lot of times of saying just like this is a chance to try something a little new.
Right.
I get it. There are pros and cons in both ways, but at the very least, it's very obvious that they're going.
My
on
argument
this
has always been if they just
Imagine.
follow the comic books explicitly, why wouldn't you just read the comic?
because
Because
they're
it's-
moving and the explosions are more.
But it's the same story, and you already know
Well, yeah,
everything.
I mean,
And there's
I
nothing
agree.
new about it.
I do
so,
agree.
Like, I would rather them change things up and try something different
Yes.
than keep everything the same.
Yeah, like I mean,
Anyway,
follow the basic outline, follow
Right.
the ideas of the characters, but yeah, try a new thing. I'm glad to try a new thing, but so
and I don't
anyways.
even mind if like characters deviate because like
As long as
we
it
were
makes
talking
sense.
about Mystique because in this universe she's more of a hero, which makes sense given the events of Days of Future
Well,
Past.
but that actually the thing, like the cool thing about that is that Mystique does have a bit of that side. It's not
Right.
completely out of nowhere. It's just they're building on it much more heavily,
Yeah.
especially given the fact that she's like an adopted sister of Professor X, which
Right.
that radically changes her backstory, but it allows this influence to make sense.
Right.
So it's fun. Like it's one of those. It's again that argument. It's like, how much do you take the comics in? I know we touched on this with Civil War.
Mhm.
We can touch on this again. It's just the idea that there's a lot of back and forth, and there's no real right answer to this. In that do you just do you follow the characters' arcs in the comics to a T? Do you not? What is the in between? And I think at the very least you need to focus on the in between, but that becomes so vague that it can be hard to grasp sometimes.
Right.
So, I don't know, whatever.
Getting back to the movie though, for me it's a movie that the first hour is very slow.
Yeah.
And it's paced very weird, and there's some issues I have particularly with the first half of the film.
Fair enough.
But then in the second half, and especially in the big finale scenes, it really picks up and it starts building, and it becomes this amazing spectacle at the end. And
It's
like
true.
the last like half hour of the movie just kind of blew me away.
The last fight they just don't hold back. I mean,
Right.
Well, damn it, spoilers. But I was like, the last
We'll get
I know the last encounter is just spectacular,
Yeah.
and yet it is a very slow boil. But they don't do that slow boil with doing nothing. Like I know there's people complain that Apocalypse he's just kind of he doesn't like just get in there like right away.
Because theoretically,
There's
he could just wipe out the planet by like snapping his fingers.
But that's the point. I mean, that's why
But
actually.
that's also like
That's why Apocalypse
Why he doesn't
is
do it,
an
right.
interesting villain. He's not just I'm going to destroy the world like they made Ultron, which
Yeah.
whatever. Like he doesn't want to destroy it.
He wants the strong
he wants
to
the
rise
strong
and
to
lead.
rise up and rule. he wants a ruling class of, well, not complete equals, but mostly equals,
Right.
with him on top, of course.
Obviously.
But it's like, so he does it as he could like freaking wipe the entire world clean, pretty much. But that wouldn't work for anything, because then he'd have to start from scratch and start like making his own mutants, and that's just too much work.
It's too much work.
Yeah.
All right. So without further ado, we're putting up a spoiler warning because we're going to get into our pros
Spoiler
and
warning
cons.
right here. Are we? Can you edit that?
Sure.
Good enough effects.
You can put it in there.
Spoilers. I'm holding the spoiler one.
Do you even spoil
If
this?
you don't edit this, I'm gonna look like an idiot. Oh man, I've set myself up for disaster.
Oh man.
I'm at your
All right.
mercy.
All right.
Oh. All right.
Put 2 ducks in your hand. All right. So moving on.
Moving on. With
Let's start with some pros. For me, Apocalypse. I love that guy. He's super cool. And fuck you guys who say he's too short. It doesn't matter because he's awesome. I do have one tiny beef with Apocalypse, but we'll get there later when we do our
Is it the
cons.
fact that he's short?
No.
It's tiny.
It's
tiny,
not.
Tiny
Stop. I have one little beef with Apocalypse, but we'll get there when we get to the cons. But overall, I think his character was really cool. I really liked his because Bryan Singer said he's very based off of like a cult leader in this movie. So that really came across, and I really like that aspect of him and how he's very much like he calls other mutants his children because he was the first.
He's kind of delightfully creepy. I'm not gonna lie. Like he goes like he has that. It's the just the tenor to his voice. He talks with almost this soft, like creeping, like slow vibe. He picks every one of his words very carefully. You can tell.
And there's times where like his voice overlaps with like a second voice.
Oh yeah, he has this creepy like multi-voice thing, and it's just like, okay,
it's
all
like
right,
you just sound omnipresent.
Oh yeah,
it's
no,
ridiculous.
he just sounds like part godlike, part twisted creature, part just absolute.
He sounds like a lot of things that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree. Apocalypse was a very good part about it. And the best part about it is that he very rarely, he didn't seem like he felt like almost like completely unencumbered with showing force. Whenever he used his powers for anything, it was nothing. He was just whatever. But that almost got to the point where he was just like almost annoyed that he had to use his powers at any point. Where he's just like, ugh. Whatever, get out of here. Just like he's like flicking his wrist to like, go away. And it was such great. It showed how strong he was, but also, in the key part of his whole character, he was arrogant. He chose 4 horsemen. He could have like started like brainwashing and controlling everyone. No, he had only 4 people.
I question his choice of horsemen, but
I know we'll get to that in a second. I'm just going to bring this up now. Is that his arrogance, I think, was very key to his choice of horsemen. He found the first one, Storm, by accident. Just kind of grabbed her. And he's like, oh wow, another mutant. I didn't even think you would have existed. Because he saw all the other like lesser people ruling the world. He was so depressed. He was like, oh, another mutant. He didn't actually sound like that.
that's not his voice.
Or did he? Spoiler. But then from there on, it's just like he just follows like rumors and stuff and lets the other people like kind of lead him because he feels like they're my subjects. I mean, yeah, they're my children, but he very much feels like I don't want to lift my finger. I'm too good for that. I'm the strongest. I can do whatever I want. I'm just going to be led around here, and I'm just going to let my subjects do my bidding, which is a great touch because it really, that's how it ended because his arrogance was completely his undoing.
That and the Phoenix.
Spoiler.
We're past the point of no return.
I know there was the thing.
Let's just move on to that. The Phoenix comes back in a not shitty form, X-Men 3.
Wow. Well, we don't speak of that movie.
Actually, we spoke of that movie.
Wait, but it's not even canon. They did.
The third one is always the worst. That was awesome.
That was okay. Yeah. Slight aside. There was a reference where
they go to see the Return of the
Jubilee,
Jedi.
Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler go out to see Return of the Jedi. No one questions Nightcrawler for some reason.
No one ever.
It was the 80s. It was a scary time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they go out and they see Return of the Jedi. And they come out and they make
and
the
like, we can all agree that the third one is always the worst.
And that was... thank you. I mean...
Even Bryan Singer hates that movie.
Well, I mean, that's the one he didn't do it.
Yeah, that's what
I have a feeling like if he did it might have been at least a little bit better.
Yeah.
I have a little more faith in him than what's-his-face. But then he did Superman Returns. Anyways, that's beside the point. So yeah, small side... There was a lot of poking at X-Men Last Stand, and they did build up to the Phoenix. But here's the important part: they built up to the Phoenix. They didn't just go like, "Oh, Jean Grey's dead. Oh shit, she's back. Oh shit, she's crazy. Oh shit, Dark Phoenix. Oh shit, end of the world." No, it's like Jean Grey is having more and more trouble. She's seeing the future. She's seeing Apocalypse's destruction, but she's also seeing the Phoenix Force, and They showed the Phoenix Force without actually showing it, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
The first time she has those nightmares and she's literally melting the
fire.
painting on the wall. That's so cool. Like she was emanating this.
And like all of her
impossible
visions
heat.
are of like the world burning.
Yeah, it's all fire. So they built it up to the end where she finally like overcomes her shyness and her uncertainty and her powers, and she lets loose.
And she like goes destroys Apocalypse at like the atomic level, and it's amazing.
It was intense. It was
like honestly, like how else do you beat Apocalypse?
Writing.
Like I said, how else do you beat Apocalypse?
Yeah, like Jean Grey was the only one that could really take Apocalypse. Though it was kind of cool.
This is why I should have made her his horseman. We'll get there.
But I also going off of the Phoenix. I also like none of the X-Men felt completely useless.
Right.
They all had a point, even in the final
even
battle.
Quicksilver!
Yeah!
Quicksilver beat the shit out of
What are you talking
Apocalypse
about? Quicksilver was probably the most useful, like, in the entire movie, like, overall.
Right. I don't know. I have this thing with speedster characters that I'm generally not into them, but Quicksilver and the X-Men is the only one I'm into.
Fair enough. Well, here's the thing. As I said when we first got out of the movie, there's now... In addition to the Stan Lee cameo, which actually surprisingly, this Stan Lee cameo was nice, simple, and not funny.
It wasn't a funny one.
It was.
There are nukes going off when it happens.
I'll get to that in a second. But it's not funny. So it's like, oh, wow, that was actually. It was almost a touching moment. He was like holding his.
That's another
wife.
interesting thing I just thought about for like the Apocalypse character. Like, he launches all of the nukes. But into space, so no one can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll just get to that now then. Okay. So.
But that goes back to like his arrogance, because
going back to his arrogance
without nukes.
He had this amazing scene where, basically, long story short, Professor X is trying to find Magneto, who's basically missing.
Cerebro.
But Magneto is with Apocalypse, so Professor X finds Magneto, but Apocalypse, being so badass, notices there's a psychic trying to communicate. He's like, oh my, and he taps into Professor X through Cerebro, and then overrides Cerebro, and it's like, holy, what? That was a ridiculous show of power without really doing anything. But then the best part about it is that he takes the Cerebro, and he sees, oh, I can see all these people. Oh, look, I can get in the minds of all these people. Go directly to every person who can launch a nuke. Launch every nuke.
The nukes.
Every nuke in the whole world.
100% of the nukes.
And go straight in the air.
He
disabled them.
Disable all of them.
He did a better job than Superman in Superman 4.
No, see, like, when that scene happened, I was like, okay, the movie's over. Apocalypse wins.
I mean, I saw that in the trailer. That was actually what worried me in the trailer, because I saw the nukes launching and they're just ripping up the bridge and all that stuff. I'm like, they're going to blow up the world and they're going to have to like either time travel or do some kind of alternate dimension stuff to fix it so they actually have a continuity. No, they tricked me. But I felt good being tricked because that was an awe-inspiring scene, because he just like is echoing out through Cerebro and all this stuff, is saying, I will dismantle you. It's like you have all these, you rose up from, he had this amazing speech about mankind rising up from slings and spears and stones to these massive technologies, but you were still pointless compared to me. It's like, oh, it was gorgeous. So we launched them all into space. The war has just floated
I do think
harmlessly.
maybe one of those nukes should have gone to maybe Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Mutants. Just one. I don't know.
What, that made Quicksilver run more? That's mean. God, he did enough. By the way, okay, so that was amazing. Probably my favorite scene was the nukes. There was a lot of amazing spectacle scenes, but that was wonderful just because that was a great chance of a villain not only proving a point, but actually kind of not only of changing the world in a way that made sense, because it's set in 1983. This is the last years of the Cold War. Like, this is the intense Cold War action. This was a big thing, and they did it without actually having dealing with the Cold War.
Right.
It just happened to be there, which is a nice way to do it, as well as just altering the universe to kind of shift it, and this could change history, which is really cool. So, one of my favorite scenes, easily. One of my favorite comedic scenes, which is, comedic scenes is Quicksilver.
This is a Quicksilver
And going
scene?
back to that, you had your Stan Lee cameo, which is in almost every Marvel movie except the really bad
The
ones.
new thing is for the X movies is going to be worse.
But
than
the new
Quicksilver
X-Men
scene.
movies is the Quicksilver scene, and if you've seen Days of Future Past, you know what I'm talking
They
about.
do a very similar thing.
The time stops. He has
I
his
love that
headphones on.
effect though. When just nothing is happening, but the world slows down and stops, and then Quicksilver just kind of casually walks in.
Well, yeah, he's walking. He's not even
He's not even running. He's just walking, and he's like, "Huh." I think the school's gonna blow up. I should do something about that. And then he just saves everyone in the school.
Oh my god. Oh god, I'm trying to remember the song
Sweet dreams are made of
yes,
this.
thank you. Sweet dreams are made of this. So awesome song to come in. Just the beat starts and Quicksilver steps into scene. He's just huh. Then he just glances over to the way to
And
the.
what also is the thing I noticed is everything is stopped, and he's still running faster than you can see him.
Yeah.
So
he still does the zip back and forth. And once in a while, people are the explosions are moving in slow motion. So it's ridiculous. It's obviously they're showing off his powers so well. He's ridiculously powerful, but he's just looking for Professor X. So he dips down and he's like, "Oh man, an explosion went off because Apocalypse came and kidnapped Professor X, and Havoc decided to throw a blast, which hit the Blackbird, and that blew."
he literally gets every student out of the school.
Every student
before the explosion. goes
Mostly
off.
every student.
Mostly every student,
Yeah.
except for the one.
He misses Havoc.
He misses Havoc.
Which
Havoc
but they
caused
never
the explosion.
Well, yeah,
so it's his own fault.
because he was the closest to the explosion,
Right.
he just wasn't caught. But here's the thing: they never find Havoc's body. And I'll get to that. I think they might do something with that later,
don't know.
but that's beside the point. So then he goes through the whole thing, through the song. He even does things where he's practically joking around. He almost feels like a
He
cartoon.
moves a piece of shrapnel out of the way, and it's just
Yeah, he's just fiddling with stuff. He takes a
drink of juice while he's going
Yeah,
through.
he saves the fish in the
He
fish
saves the
tank
fish in the
by
fish
pouring
tank.
them into someone's glass, a glass of water, and it's just really, oh my god, he's casually doing this. He's flinging people out the window, and in the last explosion, he rides off in a table. It is the most over the top.
It is. You
funny
thought the
scene.
scene in Days of Future Past was over the top.
That was
ridiculous.
small
This one
scale.
tops it and then goes even farther. It's amazing.
Although the song is less applicable. I mean, the
Right.
time in a bottle was just so hilariously
Yeah.
perfect. But even still, it doesn't matter.
All right.
So
So
it was fantastic. Okay, next part.
next
I've got more
topic.
pros.
I have a lot more pros.
Yay.
Um,
We like this.
and now I'm drawing a blank. God damn it. I had one ready and now it's gone. What the fuck happened?
Is it
Apocalypse
obvious?
in
Is
my
it
head.
obviously the 15-minute Wolverine scene?
Oh yes, that was what I was going to bring up. Wolverine.
Were you actually going to bring that up as a
I was
pro?
actually.
All right.
Wolverine's in the scene in this movie.
In
In
the
this-
entire scene.
The entire scene, the whole 2.5 hour scene. He's Weapon X.
They show him as Weapon X with his gear on, which is great.
Doofy looking gear.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, it's his monitoring gear. It has the helmet, and he's got the patches in him and everything. It was perfect. They actually did that style, and it was that was a great.
I like everything about the scene except what he's wearing. And I
was
get,
a
that
nod to
it's, I get that it's ripped right out of the comics, but this is an example of something in the comics that doesn't work as well on screen.
I mean, it was supposed to be monitoring equipment. It's not like that was his gear he's going to go out in.
Well, right.
He was supposed to be locked up.
Right.
Like they're going to remove that when he does anything. It's not like they're going to put a headgear on him every time he does something. Right. That was supposed to. He was like, he's not supposed to be out in that. He's not supposed to be out. Why is he eviscerating me? Oh my goodness.
He does a lot of eviscerating.
He kills everyone. So okay, like long story short, basically after the apocalypse,
Jean Grey breaks him out.
Well, after the apocalypse incident with the nukes. Stryker kidnaps finds that there was this huge psychic event. Apocalypse was talking through Professor X to the entire world, and so like every person heard Professor X speaking Apocalypse's speech, another speech. Mm-hmm. So Stryker's like, that's not good. Go check on Professor X. He goes down there and he kidnaps a bunch of people, but doesn't obviously find Professor X. Blah, blah, blah. So they end up in Stryker's compound. Mystique, Beast, Moira McTaggart, which I'm glad they brought back. Brought her back, and was there a fourth person? Quicksilver, right? We're all in the.
They were all taken prisoner, and basically Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, and Cyclops.
Basically sneak on board the helicopter and break them out. But to break them out, they find Wolverine and let him loose.
Right.
And Wolverine just goes
berserk. And there's like a whole 10-minute scene of Wolverine just completely ripping
everyone
to
dies.
shreds.
Except Stryker, of course, he gets away at the last moment. But whatever.
Which I have a point about Striper I have to bring
Striper?
up. Striker.
Striper, no striping.
Striper, no striping. I'll bring it up in cons, but I'll...
Fair enough. Okay. I have a feeling I know what you're talking about. But yeah, so... But and then Wolverine has this cool moment with Jean Grey where they kind of communicate, and she gives him back whatever memory she could salvage. So it's kind of like of how he starts on his path to remembering who he is.
Right.
Well, it was a nice touch. I'm not as big of a fan of seeing as you may be. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was also kind of just like, we get it, Wolverine. I mean I'm ready for Wolverine's last movie at this point. The characters run his course. I really don't want to.
I've always liked Wolverine though.
Well, I like the character, I really do, but he does get so much more press than everyone else. So, anyways, but that's what I wasn't. The scene was good enough that I was willing to overlook the fact that it was Wolverine.
Yeah.
Squeezed in. There was no real importance to the plot. There was no reason for him.
It was just kind of like Deus Ex Weapon X.
It was even to the point where Stryker didn't even need to be there, which I think might be it's one of my cons for that. That whole segment really didn't need to be in the movie, but
that whole thing really didn't. It's stretching out the runtime.
Yeah, it felt like more stretching out the runtime for that, which was definitely
that whole scene feels like it existed just as an excuse to put Wolverine in it. Now that I think about it,
yeah, well, it was. I mean, they did all the things they did, like all the things that they got out of it, like the new plane. And their flight.
Also, it gave Apocalypse time to build his new pyramid, but
exactly,
that's whatever.
But I mean, so that was the excuse that half an hour of Wolverine, time to get them.
I don't think it was half an hour.
It felt like whatever. Maybe not. It was 10, 15, 20 minutes.
15 minutes maybe.
Whatever. It was decently long scene.
Yeah.
All to basically just show off Wolverine and be like, I'm actually that's leaning more cons to me than not.
Okay.
But it was a fine scene. It was one of those things where I liked it. So I'm not gonna.
I always like seeing Wolverine rip people to shreds.
Yeah.
But now that I think about it, that didn't need to be in the movie.
No, not really. Let's see other pros.
Let's go into more detail of the final battle with Apocalypse. Probably.
Okay, I just want to say that I again saw this in the trailer, so we kind of saw it coming, but I didn't really know what the extent. Because at first I thought he was just destroying the world, and I'm just like, oh god. No, he just levels Cairo and repurposes most of Cairo into a giant pyramid that he can do his mental transference thing, which was...
Is that... Because I don't know all that much about Apocalypse. Is that his actual power from the comics?
He alters molecules. He basically can control matter. Okay, so but he's also gained the various powers over the time. So he's a lot of it. He basically can reshape whatever he wants.
In the comics, he doesn't switch bodies and gain that person's powers.
I feel bad being a bit of a comic guru, but it's been so long since I've read any of the Age of Apocalypse. He might have done that, or at least been able to do that.
Okay.
But I don't know. That might have been more
that power. I think it's really cool.
It was a cool idea. But the big thing is that he can control matter. He basically just shapes the world however he feels.
Right. Hence he built a giant pyramid in the middle of the tower.
Anyways,
there's one moment in that finale, though, that is probably my favorite moment of... I won't say any X-Men movie, I'll just say this one. Is Quicksilver just punching the shit out of Apocalypse for like a solid minute.
After the whole mansion thing, it obviously
Because it's so cool because like Apocalypse is just walking and he's in the middle of he's calling out Professor X.
Yeah.
And then he just slows and stops and it's like, I know exactly what's happening next.
Wham! And Quicksilver gets 3 or 4 good punches and Apocalypse is just like, what the hell? He's flying through the air, his face is all contorted from the punch, he's like, what the hell?
He's like, what the fuck is going on?
And he gets punched again, but then the cool part about that scene is well, first of all, I'm saying, is Quicksilver just gonna...
Is Quicksilver just gonna win?
Have they just admitted that Quicksilver is the most powerful mutant of all time, and Quicksilver's just gonna one-shot Apocalypse? He's guys, what's wrong? Keep up. What, you couldn't see that? Sorry, wrong Quicksilver.
Honestly, I might have been okay with that.
It would have been a little bit. I would have laughed, but then I'd be like, that was kind of cheap. But no.
In the moment, I would have liked it, but then afterwards, that's
Apocalypse sees him running, showing more of his ridiculous power, and actually shapes the earth around his leg and stops him mid-run.
And then stomps his leg.
This guy who outruns explosions, who can save about 100 people from a building as it explodes in seconds. Yeah. This guy who can literally travel across the world at will, practically. He got looked at. He
got fucked.
Well,
and what it is.
I don't like to use that language. No, I'm not kidding.
And then he broke Quicksilver's leg.
Yeah, he just shattered his leg.
He's
like, holy shit.
Killed it. All right.
Well, Quicksilver's out.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, we talked about the Phoenix. There's a segment where Xavier and Apocalypse have a mind battle. And Apocalypse gets really big and doofy. This
is going to be a 2-hour video if we actually do all the pros. I'm not going to lie.
I have this one and one more, and that's it.
Okay, well, fair enough. I've got one more major one if it doesn't overlap with yours. So, so the finale. It just builds up to the whole thing. Everyone, like I said before, everyone has something to do with it.
Then we got to talk about post-credit scene, but that's it.
Okay, so the Magneto is one of the Horsemen, and he's basically literally ripping up all the metal from the Earth to destroy all of civilization, which is okay. He's literally tearing apart cities.
The thing about that is that much magnetic force should at least throw Earth off its axis or something, or do something weird.
It's pinpoint. Well, I mean, to be honest, it probably did, but he was just starting. That was it was such a colossal task. He was just doing. So he only took off He took out the.
He only destroyed most of the planet.
It was only a quarter of New York. Sydney was the Sydney Opera House is gone.
The Sydney Opera House is dead.
That's random landmark to show, and as well as just a few other things. But it was Mystique was the one that helped convince him to come back to their side because he still had something to live for, her, as well as Charles and the rest of the X-Men. There was still something worth fighting for. Which was a big reason for that, and I'll get to that in a sec. But all the X-Men had a role to play. They all did something. They all the X-Men kind of squared off against the Horsemen. Angel was relatively mediocre, as you probably will say in the he can fly. He kind of
Angel held off Nightcrawler for 2 minutes.
That's true, mostly because Nightcrawler had no fighting skills whatsoever.
And only because he grabbed his tail for a second.
Well, he kept grabbing his tail, and eventually it got to the point where he beat the crap out of him with his tail.
Yeah.
How free to say. Anyways, so it was a great, big showdown, culminating in the whole mental battle with Professor X, where Jean Grey stepped in, saved Professor X from Apocalypse, freed him from Apocalypse's grasp. Well, Apocalypse was trying to steal Professor X's mind so he can get his powers.
And he grows big in that scene too, inside of Xavier's mind.
Which was funny enough. I think that was supposed to be the nod of the comics because that's what he does.
I know he does that.
So that was
doesn't make it look any less weird on screen.
Oh no! But the fact that it was a mental battle made it okay.
Right. So it's a little bit better.
Of course, it's gonna be weird. It's in his head.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So if it's in his head, I will allow it.
Yeah, it's fine. So overall, that finale was spectacular.
Right.
It was great. It was a lot of fun, and they only killed off Apocalypse. Angel was
Havoc.
Well, no, I mean in that scene.
Right.
Yes, they killed Havoc earlier.
They killed Havoc earlier. In the finale, Apocalypse is the only one. Really.
Yeah. So yeah, But yeah, so the Apocalypse was one thing died. Psylocke slinked off with a very like menacing look on her face.
Exist.
Well, that's the other thing. I'm sure you'll get to that in the comments, but like the Four Horsemen was mostly there for show.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm willing to excuse it because Psylocke looked good for various reasons. Anyway, well, Psylocke was good to the point. I did like they were doing the metallic wings of Angel that they did. Mm-hmm. That we got him in an entirely different way. This Apocalypse was doing. It was fine. So yeah, but
last big pro. Then we'll talk about the post-credit scene, and then we'll get into our comments.
Yes, I'm curious if your pro.
Last big pro, Magneto.
Ah, yes.
Especially
Magneto.
that scene, like, because he's established.
Surprise! Magneto's really awesome character,
right? Like, so he started this new life working at this iron mill.
He's in Poland. He's in Soviet-controlled Poland. Ironically, working as an iron mill,
and then he's living with. He has a wife and kid now.
Yeah,
his wife knows who he is.
He decided to settle down because he was. After the events of Days of Future Past, he decided to settle down and see, as he said, like try to see things from a human perspective. He tried to live as them, and it was working.
He wasn't using his powers, and then somebody almost dies in the iron mill, and he has to save him.
Yeah,
and he uses his powers.
An accident happened, and he has to save a guy from getting crushed.
And they're all dicks that are like, "Fuck you!"
And then they all freak out and tell the police. Who confront him and use his daughter as leverage. And it's like the police actually brought bows and arrows because they can't use their guns. Right.
And like the daughter has this weird power. She makes birds attack the cops.
Yeah, that was. I don't know what she
is.
I have a feeling that was a very obscure mutant.
Right.
I was wondering because I wasn't sure if the daughter was going to stick around and be Polaris, Magneto's actual daughter.
I was thinking she was going to be Scarlet Witch, but
well, no, they can't use Scarlet Witch anymore. That was the agreement. Oh. Scarlet Witch is the Avengers and Quicksilver is X-Men. That's why
they also had Quicksilver in the
Avengers. That's why he died in the Avengers.
Okay,
they got him for a little bit. That's why also Quicksilver had a little sister in his lap.
Right.
Yeah, she's Scarlet.
I thought that one was Polaris.
No. Well, I mean, could have.
Well, whatever. Maybe. It doesn't matter. Point is, birds attack the cops. Cops shoot an arrow. It impales the daughter and the wife, and Magneto is all sad.
Epic arrow. Like it's a random like misshoot, but it skewers a little girl and pierces the heart of his wife. Like,
right.
Holy. And then Magneto kills the cops with locket.
His daughter's locket.
With his daughter's locket. Like holy crap!
Like you are my favorite.
So super intense scene, and it brings you straight back to Magneto's pain. Magneto is. I think actually
he's one of my favorite villains.
Well, no, he's one of my favorite villains. Period in comics, like straight up, he's one of my favorite villains because you understand him 99% of the time.
Right.
There's at least some
not pure evil. He's doing
exactly, which
is
the best part about a villain. A villain is someone that can convince you that they're right.
Right.
And there's the hero from a different perspective. So anyway, Magneto is very much the heart of this movie in that. His torment is kind of what they've been working on. Does Professor X's peace thing work? Can mutants and humans live? Apocalypse wants to level humans to the ground so mutants can rise. Magneto's like, alright, I'm with you. That's kind of his modus operandi too. But Professor X obviously wants everyone rise together. So the whole movie, the whole theme of the movie is very much about this dichotomy, and Magneto is straight in the middle of it because he wanted to go with Charles. He wanted to live that life, and it was taken from
Horseman, I think, aside from Storm, that has any kind of like internal conflict.
Yeah, no, definitely. The half of the Horsemen have some good character development. The other half are just for not. The other half are just for show.
Yeah.
So Magneto is very much the heart of this. But my favorite part about Magneto, and it was a very good scene.
Was it when he goes back? After
he's given his power and he goes and he's been brought back to Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Apocalypse brings him to Auschwitz, and as soon as I saw that they were in Auschwitz, I'm like, holy crap! No. So Magneto's
basically back to that scene from the first.
Yeah, it's Magneto basically having this huge emotional moment of like realizing all that's come, and this is where he basically accepts Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm. Apocalypse like
brings his power up to 11. and Magneto
destroys
levels
Auschwitz.
I'm not gonna lie.
Completely destroys
Like, despite the
Auschwitz.
fact that it's the villains doing it technically and all stuff, that is a satisfying freaking moment.
Really
We
happy.
know how horrible Auschwitz was.
Yeah.
It was a big thing. It was a big thing for Magneto, and it was so delightfully, like, emotionally charged catharsis.
And that's something that I've been about Magneto. I've been like, there's metal and shit in the ground. Why can't he use that?
Because he wasn't strong enough.
Because he wasn't apocalypse. He didn't have apocalypse powers.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I get it.
He levels Auschwitz, and it was just so cool because it's not just he doesn't just like. He literally pulls the metal from the ground in like these huge like twisting snake-like twisters.
Yeah.
It's so cool looking. The effects are like he's snaking out of the ground,
The effects
ripping
are
it
great.
through the buildings and twisting. It's just like throwing it everywhere. It is so awesome. And all the while, Apocalypse is doing another speech. He does it a lot. He does a lot.
There's a lot of Apocalypse.
He's so long-winded.
But I was
he's doing
talking
this
about
huge
like
speech.
when he goes back to the iron mill and he confronts the people and he's like,
Oh wow!
think
Yeah,
about your
before-
loved ones and now they're all going to lose something
Yeah,
too.
so he's going
and then
to
Apocalypse shows up, turns them all to dust.
No, that's the thing. People saying like Apocalypse can just turn him into dust. Like no, actually he doesn't. He changed the basically the shape of the floor. They all sunk into the floor.
I thought he turned them into dust.
No, there was hands and random like things sticking
Right, I
out.
thought there was like parts that he left. I thought it was
No,
just.
he changed the key effects matter. He changed that. I had heard this complaint. He just goes around turning people to dust. Why does he do that? No, he actually
I could've
shapes the
sworn I
walls
saw
to cover them.
Person turn into dust.
Nah, I would almost.
I would have to see it again. I don't remember.
I'm almost positive like he's snapped and the floor just becomes liquid for a split second. They sink down and he just solidifies it right on top of them. Either way, whatever. I mean that's not the point. But it's like so yeah, Apocalypse comes in and stops it, but he's about Magneto's about to like he's already killed the guards, so he has blood in his hands again.
Mhm.
But Magneto's about to take another step in that
Apocalypse comes in and Magneto is like, "Who the fuck are you?"
that was hilarious. That was a great
awesome.
thing. But like Magneto has this rather heartfelt thing where he's going to take vengeance on what is a semi innocent people, like people that were only reported him out of fear,
Right.
And that they're about to be slaughtered by Magneto in horrible ways because he's in the middle of an iron mill.
He's
and
in
it's
an
like,
iron mill.
all the horrible things he could have done with that, just like yikes. But so he's about to do this. He's about to cross.
I do
that
think
path.
the fact that Apocalypse like stole all his kills was kind of disappointing. I was like, I kind of wanted to see what he would do with
Well,
that.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm curious about the creativity he could have had because he had like forges and stuff he could like throw on, like melt people down
Right.
and wrap them to iron and I don't know. Like
I kind of just wanted Apocalypse to sit there and watch while Magneto did his thing. But he just kind of like looks at him and then they die.
Yeah. Well, anyways, but it was a really intense moment. Most of Magneto's scenes involves that kind of intensity. Michael Fassbender, great actor. He is awesome. I love him.
Gets
It's
me
great.
excited for the Assassin's Creed movie.
I'm excited for that. For that, basically that's the main reason.
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender, but he is great as Magneto.
Yeah.
Like in this, I've known that since he first showed
Him
up.
and James
in First
McAvoy
Class.
both are really
Yeah, no,
good.
James McAvoy makes perfect. The casting is actually fantastic.
Yeah.
Overall, like that's my final little pros. All the cast works. Even freaking Sansa Stark as Jean Grey, because she's so low tones and all that stuff until she breaks out, and she actually does get that really powerful emotion when the Phoenix cracks out. It's nice. So all the casting works. Cyclops was good. Nightcrawler was great. Obviously, like I do still love Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique.
Uh-huh.
I feel that there should have been more of her true form Mystique, but they had a reason.
They addressed it in this.
Yeah, they addressed it. So it wasn't just like we just want more Jennifer Lawrence in the screen. No, she's actually
I like that they
ashamed.
addressed it in a story aspect instead of just Jennifer Lawrence sits on a bicycle seat for 8 hours while they put the blue makeup on and she doesn't want to do that.
I mean, I get that, but I have a feeling Jennifer Lawrence wouldn't care if it made a difference. So they made an explanation for it that she's ashamed, which is a great part of the story. There was a lot of emotional weight to this story.
All right.
Surprisingly.
So let's get into cons.
Cons.
Not those cons.
I'm gonna do it every time. Maybe not every time. I missed like 7,000.
All right.
We haven't been doing that many videos. I haven't.
So, I mentioned earlier the first half of the movie is pretty slow.
Cons, half of the movie. Quotes taken out of context.
I mean, like, there is
Connor
just,
hates this movie.
there's a lot of, like, these guys are, Apocalypse is collecting horsemen, and Xavier's getting more students, and people are collecting mutants.
Yeah.
And it's like, alright, we've done enough setup, can we get to anything happening?
The setup certainly lasted a bit longer than.
And I don't mind some of the setup. It's just there's a lot of setup.
But the thing is, they were doing so much. I feel that if setup was, if they cut back on the setup, it would feel super rushed. I really felt like, yes, it was slow, but every part of it built up to something.
I don't know. Like there are scenes like the Cyclops in school. I don't feel like we needed.
I don't know. I thought that was a great.
Like
aspect.
I thought it was a cool scene, but like I feel like we could have just started with him in Xavier's school.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I could see them doing the film without it, and I can see the film not being horrible because of it. But I think that scene really does a great job of setting up. We want to see him react to normal people. We want to see, because if he's immediately around mutants and he's just worried about blasting people, like there's no context for him really being afraid.
I think you could have. I think you could have started with Havoc bringing him to Xavier's school.
You could have explained it. It
and
could have
then
been
like
a dialogue
maybe like
thing.
a scene with him and Sansa where Sansa's. I'm
Sansa.
calling her Sansa. Or not Sansa, because Sansa would read his mind, but like somebody that like maybe Jubilee or something, where she's like, "Why are your eyes bandaged up?" And he's like, "I don't want to talk about it," or something like that.
I don't know. How long was that scene? What, 3 minutes?
The scene.
The scene in class.
Yeah, or at the very least, we don't have to see him like in class. Just see him like rubbing his eyes outside of class and going into the bathroom and just go.
If he was like in the bathroom, like going like this over that, and then the bully comes in, but then we don't know the reason for the bully coming in because he was.
You think they need a reason?
He was. Well, he has that line. He was like, "You're winking at my girl," which is stupid, but whatever.
So instead, have him say, "You got my lunch money."
Yeah, I mean,
there's so many reasons a bully could do that.
They could have cut that around, but it's one of those things where like, that was not a major thing I would cut. But anyways, it does.
We mentioned like the Wolverine scene. Like there are just scenes that you can either like cut down or. Like,
they could have made this an hour and a half movie without it being a complete wreck.
Right.
But I think it would have felt really fast and rushed. Even cutting out things like the Wolverine scene. That drops down to like 2 hours, maybe. Like with the Wolverine scene, maybe you maybe trim it down to 2 hours still, and it'd be a little bit better. But the thing is, yes, I agree. Yeah, it's a slow build, but one, that slow build built and really added.
There is payoff at the end.
Yeah, and it paid off. Like if the ending was lackluster, or if it dragged on too even longer, I completely understand. But
and it's one of those things where like because the ending is so good, I can kind of forgive the beginning.
Fair enough. But the second part is
there's a lot to get through in the beginning before shit starts hitting the fan.
The second part is that there was really no scene in the beginning that I didn't like. Like, there was a lot of little references that I liked. They had Caliban of the Morlocks in there, which was a great addition. Just a fun thing to see. They had, showed off a little bit of Storm. They showed off a little bit, little odds and ends.
I agree, but he's another one of those characters I don't think needed to be there.
Caliban?
Yeah.
Well, it's another question. It's like, yeah, you could probably cut off about half the cast.
Yeah.
That's a similar thing. Like, but I feel like this is a great opportunity for them to seriously really branch out the X-Men universe.
Right.
Because they've had a lot of trouble of like dealing with the same people but not really having a chance to talk about them. Now they had a chance and they took it, and I felt that it was great. They took that chance and they didn't weigh down the movie with that chance.
Right.
So personally, I think the build-up was fine, though I completely understand where it can get people kind of
and don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Like I like all of the scenes that I'm saying you don't need.
No,
it's just
I know that you just
them.
hate this movie. We've been over this. Your hatred just knows no bounds.
We'll get there when I get to my rating out of 10. It's fine. Yeah, no, it's one of those weird things because I still feel like the beginning is a little slow and like there are some scenes you can cut out, but I don't dislike any of the scenes that I think should be cut out.
Yeah.
Is the other thing. So it's one of those weird things for me.
Yeah.
Another major con, Psylocke and Angel. Mostly Psylocke. Does not need to be in the movie at all whatsoever. Why are you here?
How many people would have paid to see a movie with just Olivia Munn running around in spandex? I mean,
you don't need to pay anything. You just Google Olivia Munn in spandex. I'm sure you can find something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, no.
Or Olivia Munn lookalike in spandex at least. Like,
that's not the same. No, okay. I'll fully admit both Psylocke and Angel were awkward choices.
Yeah.
Like with the X-Men roster being so large, they could have chosen other people, but
I can at least forgive like.
Well, here's
Angel,
the thing,
because like Angel has been a horseman since the beginning, right? Am I mistaken?
Well, Angel was one of the I've lost track of the horsemen because he's had so many actually.
Right.
He's only had 4 at a time, but he's had so many iterations. Like Wolverine was one of the horsemen.
I feel like that Angel was one.
Yeah, no, Angel was one of the ones. I think he was one of the earlier ones.
Right.
He wasn't. He may not have been the original.
But at the same time, he's one of those where like there are better options.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
better
also
options than a guy who can fly.
Well, here's also the thing: like Apocalypse, like amped up the powers, but I feel that Apocalypse in the comics gave them even greater powers than the mutant powers. Like Angel was the angel of death, and he's just like kill you.
Right.
Maybe I'm just misremembering that, and God, I feel like I'm just like tempting my nerd cred here with like I'm misremembering the Age of Apocalypse and all the other bajillion storylines. Forgive me.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah. I mean, I meant like in this particular movie, in this particular incarnation,
and like,
both Psylocke and Angel. I mean, it was one of those things where I think the biggest reason why I'm okay with the choices as horsemen is because it really played to the fact that Apocalypse just couldn't be bothered to go further because he was already like, okay, I'm going to do I have my four horsemen that check off the list. I'm moving on. I'm doing my plan. I don't care who else shows up. It's like the equivalent of it's like have your cast list. You've done the auditions, and someone shows up. Excuse me, I just like broke myself here. Shows up late. And then he's sort of like, "Whoa, that'd be perfect." Nope, screw that. I'm running away, and he does. So I agree. They could have been better. Well, funny enough,
they're even worse because they're contrasted against Magneto and Storm, who do have depth and do have these.
Well, and that's also the thing. Well, going back to it, it's like there's a slow build because they have to build up characters. Would you rather them add an extra like 15, 20 minutes to build up Psylocke and Angel?
No. But I would rather them have not put Psylocke and Angel in.
Well,
him gotten, I don't know, Jean Grey.
Well, then they would have lost.
Or Cyclops.
Then they would have lost.
Or Colossus. Or Deadpool. Please, God, make Deadpool an Angel of Apocalypse.
I was actually like small hope. Well, no, it wouldn't have worked because Deadpool was 1983, so Deadpool
he wouldn't exist yet.
Which sucks because I was like, I had this small hope that Deadpool was going to make a cameo somehow. And it's just like that doesn't make sense. Like,
or even Quicksilver. Like Quicksilver could have been in a.
Well, no. I mean, Quicksilver. There's a
and then you have
characters,
choices. And then like that's a character who we've already seen him in.
Here's a funny enough thing. Caliban was also a horseman.
Yeah.
So I think Horseman of Pestilence at one point. So and his powers is that he can basically sense anyone. He can find anyone. Right. So. That would have been really important. I don't know. Caliban, I actually thought that I forgot who the horsemen were going into the movie because it had already been revealed, and I'm just like, oh yeah. But I forgot who they were. So when they introduced Caliban, I'm like, oh sweet, they're another horseman. I'm just like, oh wait, no, they already have the horsemen. Whatever. But you're right. So I mean, Storm, she had a little bit of an arc.
A little bit.
A little bit of a showing.
It wasn't the biggest one, but it's
not actually not even an arc. More of just a showing of her character, and that her character her morality shone through. She
idolizes Mystique.
She idolized Mystique and so apparently do most.
And then like it's one of those things where once she realizes that Mystique is fighting against Apocalypse, she's like, maybe I chose a bad thing.
Yeah, once she realizes that this Apocalypse isn't fighting for her, fighting for himself, she kind of gets that idea with Mystique opposing him. Was like, okay, I chose the wrong side. Let me try and fix that. And she turns an Apocalypse alongside Magneto.
My biggest problem with Psylocke, I have two big problems with Psylocke. One, her screen time. She doesn't get any.
Very little.
She like the one scene before she becomes a horseman, she literally has one line.
Yeah.
and she's sitting off in a corner.
Yeah.
She doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, alright. And then she meets Apocalypse, and she has a little bit more lines, and then Apocalypse makes her sword longer. And then she's basically absent until the final fight. So it's like... And then, like, they expect me at the end of the movie, she gets an angry face when Apocalypse is defeated. They expect me to give a shit.
Well,
Like,
I think it was... I don't know if
Yeah.
that was so much about giving a shit about Psylocke. It's more of just like, there might be more to her of moving forward, which I assume
It's a
so.
tease of what's coming,
Yeah.
but it's like,
It
I
was-
don't know if I want any more Psylocke after what you just showed me.
Well, there's room for improvement.
My other problem
I mean,
is...
yeah.
Apocalypse
I-
gives all of his horsemen this awesome armor. Like, he tricks Magneto out with this cool armor, and he gives Angel this full body, like, metal suit thing.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, Psylocke, you can fight in your bathing suit, it's okay. You can fight in your onesie.
That's actually kind of a big thing. Like, I think,
And like,
feel
I get it. It looks like it does in the comics. Things in the comics don't work as well in movies. You have to change them, otherwise it looks like you're fighting naked.
Purple socks, Zemo or bust.
Purple socks Zemo. This is what I'm talking about.
Moving on, like, I agree. It actually kind of this more and more realization as I think more on it. Like, yeah, Psylocke was easily the weakest part of this movie.
Mhm.
She just there was nothing to her, and I realized more and more. As much as I hate to say, like,
She was there because they needed 4 horses.
no, she was there because there was fan service. Because, like I
Also
said,
that.
they could have grabbed Caliban.
Yeah.
Caliban could have been the fourth one. Could have been Magneto, Storm, Angel, and Caliban.
But people know Psylocke, so they're...
Well, people wanted Psylocke.
Also
that's
that.
a difference thing. I mean, like, people have been asking for Psylocke since basically like the second X-Men movie. Like,
Right.
she's a list of popular mutants, and for biggest reason basically being is that she's super skimpy and a badass.
Mhm.
Like, skimpy outfit, beautiful woman, badass.
But the skimpy outfit doesn't work
I
in
know
the
exactly,
movie.
which makes sense. Which actually, the fact that they kept her skimpy outfit kind of cements the fact that she was fan service.
Right.
So yeah, looking back at that even more so, it's like I knew she was a weak character, but between the costume and stuff, she really felt like a shoe. And like, yeah, you people wanted Psylocke, of course, we're just gonna add in
It's
Psylocke.
like they didn't even take the time to give her a different outfit. They were just like, she can wear whatever she wears in the comics.
I mean, yeah, basically. Funny enough, like what they could have done, what could have made it interesting, because eventually Psylocke does change her outfit in response to the fact that people are just like, why the hell are you fighting in basically a skin-tight leotard
Right.
here? And she's like, fine, whatever, screw you, I'm gonna put on some armor. And she has this awesome like hood, like full suit armor thing, and it even like has like tech to enhance her powers and stuff. It's a really cool idea. And what they should have done is that maybe Psylocke picks her outfit and she's like, do this, and Papa's like, I will not have my horseman running around like a whore. And it's like, full armor. And she's like, all right, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it goes like that. Obviously, people were like, but I wanted to see the skin tight. I want to see Olivia Munn flip around and have more skin than protection. Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like Olivia Munn. She's been a person that I've rather admired just because she's done a lot of cool things.
What else
and
has
I'm
she
excited.
been? What?
Well, she was a host on G4 for the longest time. She
Okay.
did Attack of the Show, right? Oh God, yes. Anyway, so she does this thing, and I'm very glad she's been wanting to be in a superhero movie for so
Yeah.
long. She's actually was seriously like kept wanting to be Wonder Woman kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, but instead she got
I'm
Sonic.
sure
and
she's great. It's
you
just
know,
like, I don't feel like I have enough material in this movie
yeah, no,
to judge her
this
acting
movie
wise.
did not do her justice.
Right.
But they also didn't kill her off, so the character will be back. The next time there's a movie, I'm sure we'll have Psylocke as one of them, a more major focus. We can actually get into it, and then we can judge the character then.
You know what we didn't talk about? Post-credit scene.
No, we didn't.
Let's talk on that for a second.
All right, cutting away. So yeah, it bothered me when I first saw it, because I'm just like, I know that name, and I had to research it. And I was like, dude. Okay, so
I didn't know the name. Well, when you told me it was Mr. Sinister, I was like, I know who that is.
Yeah, see? Okay, so, yeah, the post-credit scene is like that.
I didn't know his humor.
They were vacuuming up all the bullets that was futilely fired at Wolverine, which is a funny thing. I thought it was just going to be a funny after-credit scene.
Yeah.
Then
it was a cleanup after Wolverine's slaughter.
Yeah, it was just, they're like mopping the floors and vacuuming up the bullets. I'm just like, wow, that's funny.
Then they take a vial of Wolverine's
then
blood.
these men in suits come and takes the Wolverine's blood
and they put it in a
suitcase with two others.
With two more.
Which I'm sure will be other than, like there was
it seems like it's a tease for X-23.
Yeah, no, I mean I have a feeling one, it's going to show up in the last Wolverine movie.
Next Wolverine movie.
And yes, I think it's going to eventually build to X-23 and maybe others. I also was kind of hoping that there was two things I was coming with. I was like, Mr. Sinister was definitely a thing, but I was actually thinking that maybe like because Wolverine had one container, and there was a container next to him.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how it felt. Like there was two containers, so I was kind of hoping the other container had someone like Omega Red, or
I don't know if I know who that is.
It's a long story. Another Wolverine-ish villain, X-Men villain, stuff like that. Crazy Soviet long iron tentacles. It's weird. Okay. It's like Doc Ock meets like 80s punk rock. It's funny.
Right.
That is actually my favorite. I'm going to describe Omega Red from now.
But then basically the suitcase closes and it says Essex.
Yeah, it's an Essex, which is Nathaniel Essex, which is Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister.
So the Essex.
I do know Mr. Sinister.
Yeah, so Mr. Sinister is teased with the ending of the after credit scene, which leads to a lot of big things, especially since they just did the Phoenix. Wow, that's like half of Mr. Sinister's obsession is. Jean Grey, the Phoenix Force, and the child of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Yeah. Which obviously they didn't build the relationship there, but there was obviously like a foundation of the relationship for Scott.
I'm gonna be honest. Like I know Mr. Sinister, but most of what I know Mr. Sinister from is the Deadpool video.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that too.
Which I mean. He's cool in that.
I mean, he's cool, though he's also basically the butt of every joke ever.
I know, it's great.
Mr. Sinister, which is also, it's been described as possibly the worst name that any 6-year-old could come up with.
No, it is.
He's Mr. Sinister.
He's Mr. Sinister.
And he's a vampire.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, he's got white skin. He also seems like he's going through a huge emo phase. I'm curious if they'll do. I'm curious if they're going to do his full design. Like, it's quite possible they'll kind of twitch it up. Well, I kind of hope they do, but
I hope it at least
the same way they did
similar,
Apocalypse.
but
the same way they did Apocalypse.
Right.
I like the fact that they kept most of what made Apocalypse.
But like his cape, that's like smaller capes. You know, it's like thinner capes. Like we don't need that.
Just a cape. Okay, just use the cape. Be fabulous, but you don't need to do that much. Okay. Right. Anyway, so that opens up a lot of things, and actually, it reminded me that they killed Havoc. Yeah, right. And Mr. Sinister is so obsessed with the Summers family. I almost guarantee that Essex also possibly dug up Havoc or found a way to do something. There might be something with it. I'm not. It's a bit of a long shot. It might also be a gateway to introducing the third Summers brother, which I'm a little afraid of because he's like the most powerful, the eighth most powerful Vulcan, I believe. Vulcan, okay. Was it? Like I said, he only shows up in like cosmic stuff, and he's like super stupidly powerful. Right. But yeah, so it opens up a lot of cool things, and I'm grateful because I was also like Infinity War, I was kind of afraid of where they're going to go from here. Yeah. But I feel that at least they hammered Apocalypse.
Do you feel like they're going to the Phoenix Saga after?
Oh yeah, no, Phoenix Saga is definitely on. Whether it might not be the next movie, but it's definitely going to
be on the radar.
It's on the radar. It's going to be on the radar, probably on the radar pretty soon. And I hope that now they can set it up properly. Mm-hmm. They can bring back the Hellfire Club.
Not like X3.
They can bring back the Hellfire Club. They can start doing the Shi'ar, which is an awesome thing that they can start doing. Like X-Men in space. Come on. Like, they can do it with an actual really cool thing to combat Marvel's more, like, large-scale atmosphere. Like, this is really a chance for the X-Men to shine. The X-Men have enough of a background, a massive roster of characters. They can keep going out and doing some really cool things. And I hope they do. Alright. So
let's jump back into the cons for a second. Because we got a little off track with that.
Well, you're the one that brought it up.
We forgot to talk about it.
Well, we could have talked about it later. Yeah, you're right. It was important because I could have talked about it for them like.
I mentioned a little bit of my beef with Apocalypse.
Beef.
And I mean,
because he's short.
You're probably. I mean, I know your position. You're just gonna be like he's arrogant. But like, to me, like, he seems powerful enough to have just taken out all of the X-Men the second he woke up.
He is.
Right?
That's the that's the problem with these kind of movies. When you
have a character that's this powerful, then it raises the question of like, why didn't he just turn all of them into dust? If he indeed turns people into dust, I don't know if we have confirmed. It doesn't. Does it matter?
He could have killed them.
He could have ripped the world in half with his bare hands.
With his bare hands.
With his bare hands. He could have actually morphed them into bare hands and done it.
My God,
right?
That's correct.
And like that's the level of power we're dealing with, and like I know you like he's arrogant.
Well, no,
I get it, but then at the same time,
I completely agree with you. I really do. The thing is, when you're doing, I'm going to say the same thing about Thanos and the Infinity War, and I've said the same thing, in other places. With comics,
kind of though.
Comics has this problem in that they keep feeling that instead of just developing a character and having arcs, they have to one up themselves. Mm-hmm. If you fight God, you have to fight two gods. You have to fight super God. You have to fight. It gets to the point where you're eventually like, all right, you're like constantly wrestling with heaven and hell and like having all these ridiculous over the top things. You have to keep stepping up your game. I mean, because you can't. It's all about because comics have so long subsisted on spectacle, on selling a single issue by the dramatic covers and the ridiculous over the topness, and they used to do it with like corny Superman was going to die every other freaking Superman was either evil, fat, or going to die in every
gay.
Dear God. In like every Silver Age comic. And then so eventually as comics matured, it then instead they took the same concept but put it in a more dramatic material of like now just everyone's going to die because God is coming to step on you. And they have to keep up with the power level, and the movies are feeling like they're doing that too. So now they have to do Apocalypse, and they'll do Thanos, and then where they go from here, I don't know. But I'm with you. Like Apocalypse, way too godly of a character. They had to do the arrogance,
and I understand that, and that's kind of a beef I have with any character of this power level.
I agree.
That they basically have to be this arrogant dickbag in order to beat them.
They have to have such a fatal, egotistical flaw to lose, because otherwise they can't lose power-wise, or the heroes have to pull such a weird-ass
they literally have the ability to destroy all of them just by looking at them.
Like, they did the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy, it was just it was a case of just he probably could have done that faster, but whatever. It was
he probably shouldn't have gotten stopped by a dancing fight.
Dance off, bro. Dance off, bro. There was a lack of dance off.
There's a lack of dance off in this movie. Disappointing.
Oh.
Not enough Groot.
Not enough Groot. He's no, they'll.
No, but that's my tiny little beef with the
Other
than that, I really like the character.
Well, there was a thing I would hate to see that. I agree. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I wouldn't say that's necessarily my beef with Apocalypse so much as my beef with this kind of movie and character. It wasn't Apocalypse's fault. It's okay, Apocalypse. We still love it.
It's okay, Apocalypse.
But it was the fact that you can't have a character this strong and not have this problems with that. They have to have a fatal mental flaw because their physicality is so beefed up. They cannot be physically stopped outside of Phoenix Force. But it took all of his hubris up to that point. It took all of his horsemen either being taken out or turning on him. It took his plan to be foiled by X-Men and stuff because he had only 4 people defending him. Yeah. Actually 2, one and a half. Because Magneto was busy doing things. Storm was...
Because Storm and Magneto both betrayed him, and then
it was Angel and Psylocke to protect him.
Angel was trapped in a cage.
And Angel was the only one who was physically keeping Nightcrawler off. Psylocke was just beating up Beast. And so it's just
beating up Beast.
Well, she had him on the ropes, although I thought she was going to snap his neck, and was like, what? What? Oh, okay, no.
She did some things with her glowy swords for a second.
She had a cool whip thing.
Yeah, and she had a cool whip thing, and then she was gone forever.
Anyways.
Point is, Psylocke has no point to be in this movie.
So yeah, so that's just a problem with these kind of movies.
Right.
Like, you can't have an ultimate evil big bad
Without them being there.
while keeping the opening for a sequel. I should say. Like, if this was the last movie, fine. End it with Apocalypse. I mean, that's a fitting. I mean, Apocalypse is Apocalypse.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you know that there's going to be more X-Men movies. And they built it up. And they now built up they now have the team back together. They have a cool roster for a team. And so there's a lot of cool potential there. It's raining out.
It's raining out now.
Anyways,
walk home in the rain.
Shut up. I'm just gonna sleep here.
All right.
Anyways, okay, but I mean, like, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of cool stuff for it, but you just can't have that kind of character. It just doesn't work in a franchise that's not ending. That's just, you play your cards too quickly. But they handled it well. Between his arrogance and the fact that they didn't blow up the world.
Yeah.
Like with the nukes thing and the fact that Magneto was only ripped apart a few cities. There was a lot of collateral damage in this movie, which I'm actually curious. I wonder if people are going to have a problem with the collateral damage of this movie like they did with Man of Steel. And I can see why not. And
you mean
why.
like fans?
Like fans, yeah. Like, because obviously in Man of Steel you had Superman. Superman can save everyone. There was at no point the X-Men are going to stop Apocalypse from ripping up Cairo. Or like they barely stopped Magneto from destroying everything. That required them to convince Magneto.
Also,
to
most of that was destroyed before they even got there.
Exactly. Like they were delayed. They had no power to do it. Like, it was very much an
Magneto was
example.
literally ripping up the whole world. What are you gonna? How many people could you possibly save?
But the thing, and that's kind of a key thing here. I'm just curious because I have a feeling someone's going to make this argument that there was more collateral damage here.
So much more
than Man of Steel.
Ever seen
Cairo is gone.
Yeah.
Millions of people in Cairo are
Auschwitz
dead.
is gone.
Okay, there was like maybe a few rats left. It was Auschwitz in 1983.
Right.
Yeah, it's abandoned. But I'm like, chunks of New York
Not quite
was
the
gone.
hive of tourists.
The death toll,
tourism yet.
despite the fact that the world didn't end, so like technically billions were saved, the death toll is probably still well into the tens of thousands, hundreds
It's also
of thousands,
another example of a
millions.
movie where like you don't really see civilians die, but you know that these civilians are dying.
Yeah. I mean, you see like the people running in Cairo as like everything is stripped molecule by molecule. It's like, they didn't make it.
Yeah.
The fact that everything is flat and desolate afterwards. Yeah.
Like in the
they just went to sleep. It's okay.
Kind of like in the 2014 Godzilla movie when he gets up out of the water. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Where he gets up out of the water and like the tsunami happens, but you only see the people that made it inside. It's like, no, there's a lot of people out there that didn't make it.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, no. So they had the collateral damage. I'm just curious if people will bring up that problem.
I feel like it would be less of an issue just because it's Apocalypse doing it.
Well, yeah, and also I think it's not because it's Apocalypse doing it. I think it's because it's not Superman as the protagonist. Right. The X-Men are powerful. The X-Men are strong. They're
not gods.
They can't. Superman. Yeah, Superman can. That's always been kind of the argument. Like, Superman can save everyone. So it's very much kind of like the answer. Then the question for Superman is still like, how does he save everyone while still doing this? Or how does he save everyone when he's facing someone as strong as him? That kind of thing. The X-Men are more of like, we're going to band together, we're a team, we're a family, we're going to save the day.
We're going to do our damnedest.
We're going to do our damnedest, but we don't necessarily have the power to stop gods. Right. So when they're fighting Apocalypse, it makes sense that there's going to be some serious collateral damage. Right. Anyways, so
one more kind of tiny con. I feel like Quicksilver should have told Magneto that he was his father.
I was waiting for that, and I was really sad.
I feel like it could have made for a really dramatic turn if that's what made Magneto come back to the good side.
I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I feel like it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, seriously.
And I get that it kind of deepens Quicksilver a little bit, but also it's like,
well, that's I find it kind of. I'll put it as both a pro and a con, like retroactively a pro, because here I see two sides of it. Like, on one hand, yeah, I really wanted to say it, because that would have made Magneto like realize, I have a son.
Yeah.
I still have family.
In the background, it's okay. We cannot control the weather. I'm sorry.
Storm, stop it! Help! Okay, no, it's also like they would have been a much more dramatic thing. There would have been a much bigger reason for Magneto's stay. Although I like the fact that it was just Mystique and Charles. Like, it was Raven and Charles that brought him back, which was strong enough because they'd already built that. But having that extra tacked on would have been as the pushing, as the final tipping factor would have been nice.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I do agree, like, it showed a lot more of Quicksilver because he's been the trickster, prankster, I don't care at all kind of attitude.
He has some more depth now because
by the end of the movie, like his whole point, he just wanted to find his dad.
Yeah.
And because he heard him on his news, he's like, oh man, his dad's still out there. He's like, all right, I'm gonna track him down. I'm gonna meet him. I'm gonna do this. But he finds his dad ripping holes in the world and distraught by having lost everything.
Yeah.
Quicksilver saw him much more as. At first, he saw him as he was just a guy. He knew that he existed. Then the speech he gave at in front of the White House, well, what was left of the White House at the end of Days of Future Past, was what kind of sparked him to see, like, oh, there's more to him than meets the eye. But now he saw the real Magneto. Yeah. The Magneto that was torn and angry and just ready to wreak vengeance, but also wanting to not have to.
Right. And
he saw that firsthand, and I can understand, like, someone in Quicksilver who took everything in life just as a joke, who treated himself as like, shut up. You know, if the video camp doesn't pick up the thunder and we're just going like, shut up, and it's going to sound really awful.
It's fine.
Anyway,
finish your thought.
So having Quicksilver become, you know, he's always this prankster, always this trickster, but he suddenly he realized that this is a more adult situation. Mm-hmm. He can't just do whatever with this. He can't just say, hi, I'm your son, blah, 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 let's get, you know, whatever, ha, bye, and then it's like, whatever. Mm-hmm. He's like, no, there's got to be more to this. So he sticks around. Magneto doesn't, but he sticks around, and I think that's kind of like, it's going to be fuel for his inspiration to inspire me more than just a dope with speedster powers. Right. Which is good, because Quicksilver is quickly becoming one of my favorite characters just because of that moment, and the fact that he's freaking hilarious. Like, he has the best scenes.
I'm wondering, though, if that's going to become like a joke of, like, everybody except Magneto knows Quicksilver is Magneto's son.
Well, let's see, how many people know it now? Like, it's
Storm, Mystique.
Storm does?
Yeah, at the end of the movie, she goes, Mystique told me about your dad.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
So Storm and Mystique, and I think Xavier probably does.
Well, just or Xavier will know really quickly.
Or will know really quickly. Same with Jean, because they can just read his mind.
Yeah, that'll probably be asked. That actually would be really horrible. Like, the entire freaking school knows who Quicksilver's dad is, except Magneto. Everyone.
One last thing. How amazing is Jubilee?
She's absolutely amazing because she's not in this freaking movie. All right, so she's in one scene.
She's in like two scenes.
She's in the mall rat scene, which is great. They go to the mall and stuff, which I'm sure that there's deleted scenes. I'm pretty sure they had already said there's deleted scenes that involve more at the mall, which I'm curious to see. But Jubilee's just in that. She's just a student. She's not an X-Men.
She doesn't use her powers ever.
No, we don't see her. She has the classic costume, which I'm grateful for. It fits in with the '80s, so that's perfect.
Yeah. If it was set modern day, I would have been like, "What the fuck are you wearing?"
Yeah,
but it's the '80s, so it's okay.
Well, I don't know. Hipsters are weird.
All right, that's
true. Actually, I can totally picture hipsters weird. But no, like
her fucking
she did exactly what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to be away from human eyes. Okay, no, I'm being harsh. I don't like Jubilee because one,
really.
Well, in the animated series, Jubilee played such a major role because she was supposed to be she was the teenager.
She didn't exist before the series, right?
She came into the comics at the same time as the series, or around the same time. I just don't know which one was exactly first because I just didn't care.
I feel like she came in the
cartoon first. Yeah, I mean, possibly, sure. Or it was like shortly after. It was right around the same time. But the point being is that she was supposed to be the same reason why like Shia LaBeouf was in the Transformers movie. She was the person that the teens, the youngins could get into and really embrace.
But now that's Quicksilver, so it's okay.
Well, yeah, no, now that's honestly that's like almost any other character.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, teenagers can probably get together with the antisocial attitude of Mystique more than they get in with whatever Jubilee could ever do.
The fuck Jubilee is.
So,
yeah,
I see a blinking light.
What is that?
Is that the low battery? You should keep this in.
It is indeed the low battery.
Shit.
Hold on.
Shit.
I will plug it in.
Shit.
I did it.
Oh, thank God, it's close.
Are we still recording? Yes.
Don't edit that out.
Nothing will be edited.
Wait.
Here comes Jake.
It's Jake! No, Jake, I'm not mad! I swear I'm better.
Jake just walked in.
Jake!
That's amazing.
Jake loves me! Oh God, no, I am mad. Ah!
If he tells you to get the fuck out of my house, you're officially the new man.
Oh no!
Oh man. Alright, we gotta wrap this up. Final thoughts, X-Men Apocalypse.
Okay, alright.
Well, Jake is outside on the phone. Hurry.
Okay, alright, final thoughts.
Final thoughts and rating.
This made me excited for the X-Men movies again. Like, Days of Future Past already did that, but Days of Future Past was more like, I'm curious where they can go with this, in the fact that it reset all the shit.
Mm-hmm.
They cleared out all the shit, that they cleared up the timeline. It's nice and happy, although if you think about Days of Future Past, it hurts. It's time travel. But anyway, so it cleared up the timeline. But this movie really made me excited for a new X-Men movie, because now the X-Men are here again. They have a team. They have the host of characters. They have Nightcrawler back. They have there's so many people now. And then they can continue moving forward, making cool movies, making all these things, and really delving into the cool things that the X-Men can do. And I really feel like the franchise has been kind of reignited.
Okay.
So, rating now?
Rating out of 10.
Okay. Out of 10, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give this a solid 9.
Oh shit.
I can't see.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely things I like about this movie, things I don't like about this movie. It's not a perfect movie, but it is a fun time. It's one of those movies that starts off kind of slow, like we said, but definitely hits you really hard at the end. I don't think this is my favorite X-Men movie. I think that's still Days of Future Past.
I can see it. I think there's
that
some
or like the first X-Men.
I think there's some, the first X-Men does stick with me just because I think it felt they did so much without knowing how well it would even do.
Right.
So, but anyway, no, I mean, I get that, but I also like Days of Future Past is such a different movie.
Right.
Despite the fact they're both so, like, the subject matter is so depressing.
Yeah.
Apocalypse, death, sentinels, anyways.
So I think Days of Future Past is still probably my favorite.
Right, fair enough.
I would give this a 7.5 out of 10.
Fair enough.
So a little bit lower.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fair enough. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I understand.
So that does it for us on our review of X-Men Apocalypse. Come back soon because I'm going to be reviewing all the Godzilla movies because I have to plug this every single time just to get you guys excited.
I'm pretty sure you started plugging this like 2 months ago. What are you doing?
Writing it still?
Writing it. This just in, people. He's actually going to write this.
It is in pre-production.
Whoa!
To use the technical term.
It's because he's in the Film Masters.
I have sure.
No.
I'm automatically smarter than Dan because I'm in the master's program.
Yeah, and then you flunk out, and then you're you're back on my level, bitch. Come on, bring it. You're not gonna flunk out, right?
No.
Damn it! Don't make me sabotage your master's program.
You couldn't if you wanted to.
I have ways.
Can you still Does your necklace still, your lanyard still work?
Okay. Maybe like right after. We're getting into things. Why are we talking about this?
Anyway. Going back to this.
There will be more videos to come. We'll do this more. Warcraft is coming out real soon.
Warcraft is coming out next week, right?
Yes. This coming week.
Next week in terms of when we're recording this, not when you see this.
So we'll very soon. Warcraft will be out. I'll be seeing it like right away.
I'll be going.
This might be the first movie in a while I haven't gone to midnight because I'm just super stoked about this. I'll try to get along. Whatever.
I'm coming with you either way.
Good. Good. Yeah. So we have Warcraft coming up, and there'll be other movies to go on, and there'll be other projects. So stay tuned very closely. We will have other things coming along very soon. So
Jake is walking in the door again.
Oh no!
He's making a lot of noise.
It's okay. We still levels.
See, Dan did the professional thing and ignored me.
Oh no! Does that make me mad?
Kudos to you.
You're the new Max!
No!
Yes! I have been freed!
Oh man. Alright. So we're done. We'll see you guys next time.
Snappy fingers. Still
We need to come up with like an outro.
Man, we were
Or
so
something.
professional. And now it's gone. All right.
Jake is gonna walk in front.
It's
of
always
No!
it's always 420.
No.
Seriously?
What?
It's always.
I don't think any of us in this room
Jake,
have ever.
Always.
Jake, please. Jake, why?
What?
None of the three of us have ever done drugs. I don't think.
I am the drugs. I am the
I've,
I mean, Dan might have. I
I've
don't
injected
know.
at least
I don't know about
40
your past.
marijuanas.
One
Injected at
one
least
whole
40 marijuana.
I've injected one whole marijuana.
Oh man. I guess I should turn the.
This is
camera
the worst sign off ever.
on. I have a feeling some of this is getting cut out.
Ah!